You know, it's kind of funny when you think about it. We live in this incredible age where we're more connected than ever before. Information, people, it's all right here at our fingertips. But there's a flip side, a hidden price we're paying for all this amazing convenience. And that price is stillness. We've become a society that just sits. We sit at our desks, we sit in our cars, we sit on our couches. And this constant stillness, this lack of movement, is quietly doing a number on our health in ways we're only just starting to wrap our heads around. So, what is actually happening to our bodies when we're parked in a chair for hours on end? And more importantly, what in the world can we do about it? Well, let's get into it. I'm sure you've heard this one before. Sitting is the new smoking. And yeah, it's punchy, it's meant to grab your attention. But let me tell you, it's so much more than just a clever tagline. It's a really powerful way to frame just how serious this is. Think about it. A couple of generations ago, smoking was everywhere. It was normal, almost sophisticated, right? People did it in meetings, at parties. Nobody thought twice about it until the science caught up and we all understood the profound dangers. Well, sitting is kind of in that same place today. It's the default setting for the 21st century. It seems totally harmless, a side effect of progress. But just like smoking, it's got this whole host of invisible risks that build up silently, day after day. This one sentence really hammers home the urgency of rethinking a relationship with the chair. Before we jump in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This helps the channel grow. And check out the links in the description if you're looking for a real estate agent in your market or you need life insurance. My team and I can help you anywhere nationwide. All right, here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden dangers of sitting. I mean, what's actually happening on a biological level. Then we'll pivot to the good stuff, the solutions. We'll dig into the science of moving more and answer that huge question. What's the absolute minimum we can do to fight back against a day of sitting? Once we got the science down, we get practical. We're going to build a toolkit you can start using literally today. We'll look at digital nudges, reminder apps, and then talk about how to actually master the standing desk. And to wrap it all up, we'll tie everything together and focus on the most important piece of the puzzle, how to build a real, sustainable habit of movement that actually fits into your real life. Okay, let's get one thing straight right off the bat. This is not about being lazy. Seriously, nobody is pointing fingers here. Sitting for long periods is just a byproduct of modern life. It's built into our jobs, our commutes, even how we relax. We spend 8 hours in front of a computer, then we sit in the car, then we chill on the sofa. We're looking at a huge environmental challenge, not some kind of personal failure. And understanding that is really the first step to finding solutions that actually work without all the guilt. All right, let's talk numbers for a second. And this one's a bit of a shocker. Get this. The average adult in the United States now sits for more than 12 hours a day. Just let that sink in for a minute. For a lot of us, that's more than half the entire day and pretty much most of our waking hours spent in one static position. And this number has been creeping up for decades, right alongside the shift from jobs that required us to move to jobs where we sit in front of a screen. Our bodies haven't changed, but what we ask them to do, or more accurately, not do, has completely changed the game. This isn't just a trend, it's a massive shift in how humans exist day to day. And that right there, that's the heart of the problem. It's what scientists call an evolutionary mismatch. Our bodies aren't built for 2024. They were perfected over millions of years for a world where constant, low level movement wasn't an option, it was just a price of staying alive. Our ancestors were always on the move, hunting, gathering, foraging. Their entire system is fine tuned for that reality. I mean, think about it. Our circulatory system literally depends on our leg muscles contracting to help pump blood back up to our heart. They call it the second heart for a reason. Our immune system relies on us moving to circulate lymphatic fluid. Our metabolism is wired to process energy assuming we're physically active. We've basically taken these ancient bodies designed for the wild and stuck them in a very modern, very still cage. So, what's the price we pay for this mismatch? Well, it's a long list, and it affects pretty much every system in the body. Within just a few minutes of sitting, the electrical activity in your leg muscles just shuts down. Your calorie burning rate drops to almost nothing, like 1 calorie a minute. After a few hours, key fat burning enzymes take a nosedive. This all leads to a much higher risk for chronic diseases. We're talking type 2 diabetes, heart disease, even some types of cancer. On a mechanical level, it's just as bad. Blood starts to pool in your legs, which can lead to a dangerous type of blood clot called deep vein thrombosis, or DVT. And your spine, it takes a beating. Sitting puts about 40% more pressure on your spinal discs than standing does. That leads to chronic lower back pain, neck strain, you name it. Over time, your most important postural muscles, like your glutes and your core, just start to weaken. And this isn't just physical. It's strongly linked to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and even sleep problems. But maybe the most sobering fact of all is this. Even if you go to the gym for an hour every day, that 1 hour can't completely undo the damage from the other 12 hours you spend sitting. The problem isn't just a lack of exercise, it's the constant, uninterrupted sitting itself. Okay, after hearing all that, it's easy to feel a little defeated. I get it. But here's where the story takes a turn for the better. The science is just as clear about the solution as it is about the problem. And the best part is, the antidote isn't necessarily some grueling, high intensity workout. The answer is actually way more accessible, way simpler, and it's something you can build right into the very workday that's causing the issue. So let's dive into the science of what actually works. This is it. This is the big question for our modern lives, isn't it? If we have to sit for work, what's the absolute least we can do to meaningfully push back against the harm? It's a practical question that millions of us want an answer to. It gets beyond that vague advice to just move more and asks for a specific, doable prescription. And to find that answer, researchers at Columbia University designed this really elegant study. They didn't just test one or two things, they tested a whole bunch of different combinations of break times and durations to pinpoint the perfect, most efficient exercise snack to break up a long day of sitting. And the results they found were honestly incredible. They found a clear winner. The sweet spot, the routine that delivered the biggest bang for its buck, was a simple 5-minute walk every 30 minutes. Now, just look at the difference this made. The group that sat all day saw these big, unhealthy spikes in their blood sugar after they ate. That's a major warning sign for metabolic disease. But the walking group, they slashed those spikes by an amazing 58%. That's huge. For heart health, the walking routine lowered blood pressure by 4 to 5 points. To put that in perspective, that's a similar drop to what you might see after 6 months of regular exercise. These aren't tiny improvements, they're major, clinically significant changes. But it gets better. They also measured how people felt. The walkers reported feeling way less tired and said their mood was significantly better. And that's key, right? Because we're much more likely to stick with something that makes us feel good right now, not just in the distant future. The fact that the Columbia study found a big boost in mood and energy is the perfect jumping off point for a wider discussion. The link between sitting all day and our mental well being is just as strong and just as scientifically proven as the link to physical health. This isn't just about feeling a bit meh. We're talking about a deep biological connection between how much we move and how our brain functions. To really see this in action, let's look at another powerful study that followed a group of young adults for a full year. What's so powerful about this study is that it tracked people's real world behavior over a whole year. And what they found was a direct, consistent connection. When people sat less, their mood improved, they felt less stressed, and they even slept longer. It was a clear cause and effect. They even put a number on it. They found that just swapping 1 hour of sitting for standing or light activity every day was enough to seriously blunt the negative mental health effects of a sedentary life. It just goes to show that even small, totally achievable tweaks to our routine can have a massive, lasting impact on our mental and emotional health. So, we know the problem, and we've got a science-backed solution. Move more often. Simple, right? But we all know that knowing something and actually doing it are two totally different worlds. When you're deep in the zone at work, hours can just evaporate. That's where technology, which is often the reason we're sitting so much, can actually become part of the solution. So let's kick off our practical toolkit by looking at a few digital nudges, apps designed specifically to help us build this new habit, each with a slightly different approach. First up is an app called Tone Owl. It basically acts like a personal assistant. Its biggest strength is how much you can customize it. Set different reminders for different times with different messages, the whole 9 yards. But the psychology behind it is what's cool. It's conversational. So inside of a loud alarm, a little message might pop up and ask if you finished a task before suggesting a break. It feels more like a partner. It also uses gamification, giving you rewards and tracking streaks, which taps into our brain's love for winning. The downside? Well, all that chattiness can feel a bit intrusive if you're trying to do deep, focused work. And of course, to get all the best features, you have to upgrade to the paid version. All right, so if Timeout is the chatty assistant, Stand Up is more like the efficient coach. This app is all about simplicity and positive reinforcement. It sends you reminders, plain and simple, but its real power is in the feedback it gives you. It tracks how many breaks you take and for how long, giving you clear, simple data that shows you're making progress. Seeing that success can be a huge motivator. It's also pretty smart. It uses your phone's accelerometer to figure out when you've been sitting still for too long. The cons? It doesn't have as many deep customization options as some others, and its playful, cartoony style might be encouraging for some, but a bit distracting for others who want a more professional vibe. Awareness takes a totally different approach. It's less about nagging you and more about building your own mindfulness. Its main job is to track how long you've been using your computer without a break. Every so often, you'll hear a subtle chime. not to force you to get up, but just to make you aware of how much time has passed. The goal is to help you recognize your own patterns. It also gives you some cool reports on your productivity, and it has this great micro breaks feature that reminds you to just look away from the screen for 10 seconds to help with eye strain. On the downside, some people might still find even a gentle chime intrusive, and because it's tracking your computer usage, some folks might have privacy concerns. And finally, there's Moova. This one tries to solve a common problem. You get a reminder to move, but then you're like, what should I do? Moova gives you structure. It has a whole library of short, guided activity breaks, desk stretches, breathing exercises, that kind of thing. It takes the guesswork out of it, which makes it easier to just do it. It tries to be a whole solution by creating daily moving plans and tracking your active versus inactive hours. It also syncs up with things like Google Fit. The main drawbacks, based on user reviews, are that it can be a little buggy sometimes. And you guessed it, the free version is pretty basic. You really need a subscription to get the good stuff. So, which one's for you? Let's break it down. If you're someone who's motivated by rewards and a bit of fun, the personal assistant style of Timeout is probably a great fit. If you just want the facts, no frills, and get a kick out of seeing your progress in numbers, Standout is your go-to. If you're more introspective and want to build a better understanding of your own work habits, the mindful, data-driven approach of awareness is perfect. And finally, if you just want to be told exactly what to do during your breaks so you don't have to think about it, the guided activities in Moova are the way to go. Market or you need life insurance. My team and I can help you anywhere nationwide. All right, let's switch gears from the digital world to the physical one. The standing desk has become the poster child for fighting back against the sedentary workday. But I'm sure we've all heard the story, or maybe even lived it. You get a standing desk, you're super excited, you use it nonstop for 3 days straight, and by the end of the week, you're exhausted, your back hurts, and that desk is permanently locked in the down position. The problem usually isn't the desk, it's that we jump in without a real strategy. This right here is the single most important thing to understand about standing desks. It's a huge myth we need to bust. The goal is not to trade 8 hours of sitting for 8 hours of standing. Our bodies aren't designed for any static posture for that long. Standing all day has its own set of problems: back pain, varicose veins, you name it. The real magic, the real benefit of a sit-stand desk is postural rotation. It's the simple act of switching between sitting and standing over and over again. That variety is everything. It activates different muscles, it gets your blood flowing, and it prevents all the strain and stiffness that comes from being locked in one position. A standing desk is a tool for movement, not an endurance test. Getting used to a standing desk is a marathon, not a sprint. Your body needs time to adapt. So here's a simple 30-day plan to do it right. Week 1 is all about starting slow. Just stand for 15 minutes every hour. That's it. The only goal is to get your body used to working on its feet. In week 2, you start to build up some endurance. You can either stand for a bit longer, maybe 20 or 25 minutes, or stand more often. Just listen to your body. By week 3, you should be comfortable enough to find your rhythm. The goal here is to alternate between sitting and standing every 30 minutes, which lines up perfectly with that Columbia study. This is also when you can start noticing which tasks you prefer to do standing versus sitting. And finally, in week 4, you level up. You start turning that standing time into active time by tossing in some simple exercises: calf raises, bodyweight squats, anything to keep you moving. You know, having a bad setup can totally ruin the experience and even cause new aches and pains. So let's do a quick posture check from the ground up. First, your feet should be about shoulder width apart with your weight balanced. Your knees need to have a soft, slight bend in them. Never, ever lock your knees. Next, gently tuck your stomach in a bit. This engages your core and gives your spine some much needed support. Then, roll your shoulders back and down to open up your chest and keep from slouching. Now for the desk itself. Your desk height should be set so your elbows are at a nice comfy 90 to 100 degree angle, with your wrists straight. And finally, your monitor height is crucial. The top third of your screen should be right at or just a little below your eye level. That keeps your neck in a neutral, happy position. The desk is the main thing, but a few key accessories can be total game changers. First and foremost, get an anti-fatigue mat. Seriously, this isn't a luxury, it's an essential. Standing on a hard floor is brutal. A good mat provides cushion and encourages these tiny, subconscious movements in your legs that keep the blood flowing and fight off fatigue. Second, wear supportive footwear. Standing barefoot or in socks for hours on end is a recipe for foot pain. You need good arch support. And third, something practical but so important: cable management. Your desk is going to move up and down, so you need to make sure all your cables have enough slack to travel with it. The last thing you want is to yank your expensive computer crashing down to the floor. Okay, so we've looked at the why, and we've talked about the tools, both digital and physical. Now it's time to put it all together. Because the final step, and honestly the most important one, is to stop thinking about individual tools and start thinking about building a simple, sustainable system for movement that just becomes a natural, automatic part of your day. This is how you make it stick for good. Here is a beautifully simple rule of thumb you can use, recommended by ergonomists at Cornell. It's called the 28-2 rule. For every 30-minute chunk of your workday, you aim to sit for 20 minutes, stand for 8 minutes, and then, this is the key part, actively move for 2 minutes. And that move part can be anything: stretching, walking to get some water, a few squats. It's that third piece that really makes the difference, breaking up the static posture of both sitting and standing. It's just a fantastic, easy to remember way to build that postural rotation into your day. And if you ever start to think that these small changes don't really matter, just look at this. When researchers look at huge populations, the impact of these tiny shifts is mind-blowing. One study found that just adding 5 minutes of moderate activity a day, like a brisk walk, was linked to a 10% drop in premature deaths. Another showed that just replacing 30 minutes of sitting with light activity was linked to a 7% reduction. This is powerful stuff. It proves you don't need some radical all-or-nothing life overhaul. Every little bit genuinely helps. These small, consistent changes compound over time and make a massive difference. So where do we find these extra minutes of movement? The trick is to piggyback on things you're already doing. When the phone rings, make it a rule to stand up and walk around while you talk. Instead of shooting off a quick message to a coworker down the hall, take the 30 seconds to walk over to their desk. Always take the stairs if it's just a few floors. Set a timer to do 2 minutes of simple stretches every hour. Or, my personal favorite, take a short 5-minute walk right after every meal. It's great for digestion and blood sugar too. None of these are huge commitments, but when you add them all up over a day or a week, they completely transform your day from one of constant stillness to one of constant healthy motion. Before we go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This helps the channel grow. And check out the links in the description if you're looking for a real estate agent in your market or you need life insurance. My team and I can help you anywhere nationwide. When you boil it all down, your long-term health isn't really defined by those heroic once-a-week trips to the gym. It's built piece by piece by the hundreds of small, almost invisible decisions you make every single day. It's about shifting your thinking away from exercise being the separate, scheduled chore and toward movement being a constant, natural part of your life. You have the science, you have the strategies, and you have the tools. The only thing left to do is to pick a place to start, no matter how small it seems. So I'll just leave you with this one question. What is the one single movement you're going to add to your day starting today?